Welcome you all. Myself Vasudev Upadhyay, and we are discussing with the course Mechanics of Solids. Initially, we will go through the syllabus of this particular course. We have total contact hours as 4 hours, out of which 3 hours per week are there for lectures and 1 hour per week for tutorial. In this particular course, at present semester, we are not having any practical, and total credits for this particular course are 4. We have total 6 modules of this particular course. We'll go through those contents. In module 1, we'll be going for stress and strains. So we'll be discussing in this particular module about how to go for analysis of a particular cross section for internal forces, which are called as tensile stress or compressive stress or shear stress due to externally applied forces on it. In addition to that, we will be further going for analysis of strain at a particular point at a particular cross section due to the external forces. Also, we will be going for some analysis of statically indeterminate members and the thermal stresses in a particular structures. In addition, we have some laws like Hooke's law and some constants like modulus of rigidity, modulus of elasticity, Poisson's ratio. So all these constants for different materials we are going to study in this particular module. In addition, we will be going for how to analyze a particular structure when it is subjected to either axial force system or biaxial force system or triaxial force system. So all that we are going to discuss in module 1. In first year, we have studied the course Engineering Mechanics. So in Engineering Mechanics, we have studied how to analyze for reactions at the supports in beams. In continuation of that, we are going to discuss about Module 2. Module 2 is regarding the internal forces in beams, which are axial forces, shear forces and bending moments at a particular cross section. So we are going to study how to go for analysis of internal forces like axial force, shear force and bending moment in case of beams. So the course which we have studied in first year, which was Engineering Mechanics, is the prerequisite for this particular module 2, and so on, whatsoever we are going to discuss in this particular course. Module 3 is related to stresses in beams. So in module 2, we are going to study how to go for analyzing a particular member, how that will be subjected to internal forces. And due to those internal forces, particularly shear force and bending moment at a particular cross section, in case of beams, how internal stresses due to shear force and internal stresses due to bending moment are applied, and how to go for analysis of that we are going to study. So the stresses due to shear and stresses due to bending moment we are going to study in module 3, stresses in beams. In module 3, again we are going to study about what will be the internal stresses or internal forces due to torsion acting on a particular structure. Module 4 in this course is related with analysis of columns and struts. So we are going to study various theories like Euler's theory, Rankine's theory, and what are limitations of these theories, and we are going to study about eccentrically loaded columns, how to go for analysis of that. So this all we are going to study in module 4, columns and struts. In module 5, we are going for analysis of combined stress systems. So a particular section or a particular point under consideration may be subjected to the tensile force or compressive force. It may be subjected to shear force, and these two are acting together. So what will be exactly total stress at that particular point? We are going to discuss about that in case of module 5 combined stresses. So there are two methodologies how to go for analysis of it. So we will be going for analytical method and the graphical method for analysis of combined stresses. Major part of it is how to go for finding the principal planes where they are at a particular point due to the external forces, and what are the principal stresses and what are the principal strain at a particular point, that we are going to study in module 5 combined stresses. In module 6 we are going to study about various theories of failure. Now try to understand what we are going to study in module 1 up to module 5 is different types of stress systems getting developed due to external forces. In addition to that, there will be strain in the particular structure due to externally applied forces. That is what is called as deformation. So a particular structure may get failed due to the internal stress when it gets developed, and if it is more than the strength of that particular material, and if it may also fail due to the deformation taking place in that particular structure. So we are going to study about different theories of failure. These are the theory of maximum principal stress, maximum principal strain, maximum strain energy, maximum shear stress theory, maximum shear strain theory. So all these theories, there are total 6 theories. So these 6 theories and numerical regarding that we are going to study in module 6, theories of failure. In syllabus we have many number of textbooks to be referred are given. Out of the total, the Zunarkar book which is written as Mechanics of Structures is a good book. So also a book Mechanics of Materials written by Beer and Johnston is also a good book. In addition to that, whatever I have written over here is one of the books available, is written by S.S. Ratan, Strength of Material. It is also a good book, but it is not written in the syllabus as a textbook. You can go for this book also. So with this introduction, we are going to start with module 1 of this particular course. Module 1 is stress and strain, and we will discuss about it. In introduction, in many of the books, it is also termed as the subject strength of material, deals with the strength or the load carrying capacity of various members of different materials of the particular structure. In the first year, we have studied subject applied mechanics, in which we have studied different types of force systems applied on different structures. The force system may be a concentrated or point load. It may be uniformly distributed or uniformly varying load. It may be a pressure, and when these external forces are applied, the structure will be subjected to certain support systems, and the support system may be a roller support or hinge support or fixed support, and so on. Due to axial forces, the stress may be a tensile stress, or it may be a compressive stress, or it may be a shear stress, depending on the nature of the force which is applied to that particular structure. So also, it depends on the deformation taking place due to the applied force, and also it depends on the plane of section which we are considering during the analysis of that particular structure. So if we go through this diagram, this is a body subjected to point load over here. subjected to uniformly distributed load, something for example, and it may be subjected to some support systems, say a type of roller support or hinge support or fixed support, and due to these externally applied forces and the reactive forces due to the support system, the structure will be subjected to some deformation, and the deformed shape may be something like this. So due to such deformation, each material part will be subjected to some internal stress, and that internal stress may be a tensile stress or a compressive stress. Force which tends to increase the length of the particular structure, and due to that change in length or increase in length, the cross section, if it is getting decreased, the force system is called a tensile force. However, if we go through this particular diagram, say this is the body of that particular structure, and along this longitudinal axis it is subjected to some force, external force P, and due to that particular force, if this is the length before application of this force, there is increase in the length and decrease in the cross section. So this is called a tension. Opposite to that, if the force is tending to decrease the length and increasing the cross section, the force system may be something shown in this particular diagram. There will be decrease in the length and increase in the cross section. So that particular force is called a compressive force. Also, that is termed as axial or longitudinal force if the force which is acting on the body along the longitudinal axis. It is also called a direct or axial. So if this is longitudinal axis, or if this is the longitudinal axis, and if this is the force applied along that longitudinal axis, that is called the longitudinal force. There may be a force which is transverse or normal. If it is acting normal to the longitudinal axis of the body, it is known as transverse or normal force. The applied external force on a body are transmitted to the support system through the material of the body. So what exactly we have at the external is the externally applied forces, and due to the support system, the reactive forces. So externally applied forces and the reactive forces acting together will be creating some internal system. This phenomena tends to deform the body and causes it to develop equal and opposite internal forces. These internal forces tends to resist the deformation by cohesion between the particles of that particular material which is used for construction. The magnitude of this internal resisting force is equal to the applied external force in the opposite direction. If the member is in equilibrium, each segment of the member is in equilibrium under action of force P and the internal resisting force. The resisting force per unit area of that particular cross section at that particular surface is known as intensity of the stress, or simply we will be calling now as the stress. Generally, we will be using sigma notation for stress. Try to understand what we have discussed up till now. If the member is in equilibrium, what we mean by that, if suppose this is the body to which this P force is applied along the longitudinal axis, if this is the equilibrium system, then if I am considering segment, if I am considering this part of the structure, then that will be subjected to some internal stress or internal force system, and we have some area of cross section when we are considering that section, and that particular segment will be subjected to some internal force. So this internal force together with this cross-sectional area will be termed as stress. So also, if I am considering this segment, the other segment, that other segment will also be subjected to internal force. So if I am considering complete body, that complete body, if it is in equilibrium, if I am considering only one segment of it, that segment must also be in equilibrium, and hence this force P, which is applied external force, and this total force P at the area of cross section will be equal and opposite, and this total force P divided by the cross sectional area A is stress at that particular cross section. So if the applied external force is P, assumed to be uniformly distributed over that particular cross section, and if cross sectional area is A, the stress sigma is equal to P divided by A. It is not necessary that force applied P is uniformly distributed. So if it is not uniformly distributed force, then the stress will be calculated as sigma is equal to del P by del A, where del P is the force applied on a very small area of cross section, del A. In SI system, the unit of stress is Newton per meter square, or it is Pascal, but in the analysis we will be preferably expressing stress at megapascal or gigapascal, where mega is 10 to the power 6. So the relation between megapascal and Newton per meter square becomes 1 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter square. It gives in Newton per mm square units, and giga is 10 to the power 9, so it will give 1 GPa as 1 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per mm square. It is important to remember these terms mega and giga while analyzing a particular structure. Instead of considering cross section which is perpendicular to the longitudinal axis, if I am considering any other cross section which is inclined, what is going to happen with that particular cross section? Try to understand that. While analyzing that particular cross section, I will be considering the components of that internal force. So internal force will be equivalent opposite to this external force. So internal force will be opposite to that, but for analysis we will be considering a perpendicular component of it and the parallel component of it. So the component which is perpendicular to the cross section considered is termed as normal stress, and the parallel will be considered as a tangential stress. Now further we will go for how to analyze for strain at a particular point in addition to stress. So strain, it may be a tensile or compressive depending on what kind of force is acting on that particular structure, and the deformation of a body under a load is proportional to its length. So to understand the behavior of the material, it is convenient to study the deformation per unit length of a body than its total deformation. So what we are going to discuss about strain as the elongation or compression per unit length of a body is known as longitudinal strain or simply a strain. And now it is a ratio of change in length to the original length it is unitless or dimensionless, and how we are going to calculate it. Try to go through this particular diagram. Now say again this is a particular member subjected to a tensile force P on it, and say L is the length of that particular member, and due to the applied force it may be subjected to some deformation. So this kind of diagram is giving that say delta L is the increase in the length over L. So how it will be? It will be something like this. So try to understand. Initial length is L before applying the external force over here, and due to application of the external force, change in length is delta L. So this delta L is elongation. If instead of this as a tensile, if it is compressive, there will be decrease in the length. So if delta L is increase or decrease in the length of a particular body of length L, so capital L is initial length, the strain epsilon, so we'll be using symbol epsilon for strain, and it is given as epsilon is equal to delta L by L. So strain epsilon is equal to delta L by L, and now we'll be going further for discussion of modulus of elasticity, or it is also called as Young's modulus. For elastic bodies, the ratio of stress to strain is constant. For a particular material, that ratio will be a particular ratio, and it depends on what kind of material that is, and is known as Young's modulus. So modulus of elasticity or Young's modulus is ratio of stress to strain. Again we will discuss about it. Now strain is unitless, stress is with unit Newton per meter square in SI system. So Young's modulus or modulus of elasticity has units Newton per meter square. So the stress is directly proportional to strain, or that Young's modulus is ratio of stress to strain. The materials that maintains this ratio are said to obey Hooke's law. Now if this is constant, the relation between stress and strain, if it is constant, then that kind of material is called as it is obeying the Hooke's law, and Hooke's law says that within elastic limit the strain is proportional to stress, which producing that particular strain. So what exactly we want to discuss about it is this particular limit, elastic limit. It can be obtained by plotting a graph of tension test of a particular material. So again we will be discussing it afterwards for different types of materials, how that elastic limit is and how that graph changes from material to material. But for example, for mild steel, the graph is something like this. So this is stress on y-axis and strain on x-axis. So this is stress versus strain graph, and up to certain force, this is constant. So this part from this point O up to point A, this is called as elastic limit, and within this limit the stress becomes directly proportional to strain. Or else beyond point A, if you go on loading that particular material, the stress and strain is not constant, or the ratio of stress and strain is not constant. So up to this elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain, and that is what is Hooke's law. We'll go further how to go for analysis of a bar if it is subjected to either tensile force or compressive force. We have discussed about what is the Young's modulus. Young's modulus is the ratio of stress to strain. And we have discussed about strain, that strain is the ratio of change in length delta L to original length L. So what can be written over here is epsilon. If we take it on this side, it becomes epsilon is equal to sigma divided by E, Young's modulus, and that epsilon is delta L by L. So sigma divided by E is equal to delta L divided by L. So if we keep this delta L on this side, it becomes sigma multiplied by L. If you take this L on this side, sigma multiplied by L divided by E. And we know that stress is force divided by area of cross section. So sigma is equal to P by A. Sigma is equal to P by A. So if we substitute this over here in this equation, so it gives delta L is equal to, for this sigma we have written it as P over here, P divided by A. So this becomes P divided by A and L divided by E as it is. So it gives you delta L is equal to PL over A. So strain is delta L by L. With stress, strain and Young's modulus, you can go for finding what is change in length. With this, we'll go through few examples. Numerical 1. Try to understand what is given in the numerical. It is said that a rod of a circular cross section has 24 mm diameter and 0.75 meter length. It is subjected to axial tensile force of 102 kilonewton as shown in figure 1. So this is what is diagram given. So length is 0.75 meter. Force applied is tensile force 102 kilonewton, and the cross section is circular, and it is said that diameter of that circular cross section is 24 mm. Its diagram is not drawn over here, and it is asked to find stress, strain and change in length, and it is given that the material is its Young's modulus is 205 gigapascal. So how to go for analysis of it? You need to use the equation sigma is equal to P divided by A. Now we are knowing that P is 102 kilonewton given. So area of cross section is required to be calculated. So we will go for that initially. So calculations of area of cross section, A is equal to pi by 4 d square. Now you are knowing it. So pi by 4 into 24 square, 24 mm diameter is given. So if you calculate it, it gives you 452.38 mm square. Now this is given in mm, so your area is in mm square. After that, we'll go for analysis of stress at any cross section. So at any cross section over here, if you consider any cross section perpendicular to the axis on which the force is applied, the area of cross section is same, 452.38. So at a particular cross section, stress will be P divided by A. So P is equal to 102 kilonewton. So what we'll be doing is we'll be converting it into Newton. So 102 kilonewton multiplied by 10 to the power 3 is giving you force applied in Newton divided by area in mm square. So this gives you, this calculation gives you stress at a particular cross section is equal to 225.47 Newton per mm square. Now this force is in this direction, so it is going to extend it will be elongating the structure. So you have sigma as tensile. Change in length. How it can be calculated? Say delta L is equal to PL over AE, what we have discussed earlier, and delta L then will be P is known 102 into 10 to the power 3 in Newton. Length is 0.75 meter. So if we convert it into millimeter, it becomes 750 millimeter divided by area already calculated over here. This is 452.38, so it is as it is. And now try to understand what is done over here. Young's modulus is given in 205 gigapascal. So 205 into 10 to the power 9 Pascal, Newton per meter square. And if we convert it into megapascal, so megapascal stands for Newton per mm square. So 205 multiplied by 10 to the power 3, remaining is megapascal, is in Newton per mm square. So these complete things like P is in kilonewton 102 converted into Newton, length is in meter converted into mm, area of cross section is in mm square. So it is necessary while analyzing to convert this particular Young's modulus given in 205 gigapascal to megapascal or Newton per mm square, so that everything will be in same system. So change in length, if you calculate this, we will get it as 0.82 millimeter. Now delta L is calculated, original length is given, so you can find strain. So epsilon is equal to delta L by L. Now you are knowing that delta L is calculated as 0.82 mm. Original length is 750. So if you take the ratio of this, it gives you 1.09 into 10 to the power minus 3, and that is elongation. It is due to tensile force applied on it. So let us go through one more numerical. Numerical 2. The diagram is given something like this, and it is said that a rod of rectangular cross section as shown in figure 2. So this is the cross section given, 0.4 by 0.25 meter. This is the cross section if you cut it at this section, and it is asked to find stress, strain and change in length if Young's modulus is 70 GPa. So this material is different than what we have considered in numerical 1. So what is given is length of that particular member is 1.5 meter. The force applied is compressive force. Initially in numerical 1, that force applied was a tensile force. Now force applied over here is compressive force, and the value of the applied force is 100 kilonewton. So this data is given. So with this we want to go for analysis of stress, strain and change in length. So again we will go through calculations of area of cross section. Now if this is a rectangle, we will be having area of cross section as B into D. So that is 250 into 400 in millimeter. So this given is in meters. So in millimeter it gives this calculation in mm square. So you can go for analyzing it for stress. Sigma is equal to P divided by A. Now P is given as 100 kilonewton. So convert it into Newton. Say 100 into 10 to the power 3 divided by area is in mm square. So this, as it is converted into Newton and this is in mm square, whatsoever calculation will be Newton per mm square. So stress is calculated, and then what is asked is to find strain and change in length. So we'll initially go for calculating change in length. So change in length is delta L is equal to PL divided by AE. So what we have discussed earlier. So given is force 100 into 10 to the power 3. Length is 1.5 meter. Length is 1.5 meter. So this is 1500 in millimeter. Area of cross section, which is already calculated, and E. Now Young's modulus is given to be 70 GPa. Now again we are converting it into megapascal or Newton per mm square. So that gives 70 into 10 to the power 3. So if we calculate it, it will be delta L is equal to 0.02143 something in millimeter. So further, if we go for calculating strain is epsilon, which is delta L divided by L. change in length to original length. So delta L is calculated over here, 0.02143 divided by original length given as 1.5 meter. So it is taken again, and that calculation gives us strain as 1.429 into 10 to the power minus 5, and it is contraction as this is compressive force, so there will be decrease in the length of that particular member. So with these two initial numerical, we will conclude with today's lecture. So what we have discussed up till now is what we mean by stress at a particular point, what is strain at a particular point, what is tension, what is compression, and how the force applied on a particular member. It may be a point load, it may be a uniformly distributed load, and there are different systems for giving supports to a particular structure. So depending on the forces applied and the support system given, the deformation will be taking place, and due to deformation the strain will be there in a particular structure. So with this lecture we'll be concluding for today's discussion, and thank you to all. Thank you.